Okay, Ronald, let's take a minute and let's look at your Texas Star 500. This little box has been heavily modified. First things first, is it's got a plexiglass lid on the top, which I don't quite get. And then Ronald sent over a fan kit. It's supposedly for the 667. It says right there in the paperwork, 500, 400, 400V, 500V, 500, and the 667, 667V. So we're going to install that for him. But the real cruxus of it, of course, the back of this is bent. That's not a big deal. I can fix that. Power wires are an issue. Power plug. This is, roughly a third the size it needs to be to adequately carry the amperage. These little plugs work great for 2 pills and radios, and that's about it. The thing that Ronald is really intrigued about is the tuner on the output. And if you look down in here, Ronald, you see they've got trimmers, little capacitance trimmers, right here and right here. So the RF comes in, goes through the relay, moves back through, or comes in, goes through the on-off switch, goes through the relay, comes out, pops out, comes over here, through that trace, comes across to that resistor, bypass through these 2 switches, depending on which mode of operation you're going to run it on, which, believe it or not, these come with a high and low. So when you got that, that's when you got them all the way out, by the way, just so you guys know, you got power, preamp, and with these 2 out, you're in high, medium, and low, okay? Or you can run it just simply in low, but with sideband on. But all the way out, the sideband switch also doubles as your delay function, which that cap has been removed because it attaches down here on this trace, which is gone. So Ronald, you won't have any sideband delay. But we're going to take this tuner out and we're going to set it back up the way it should be. This box has been burned a couple times. There's scorch marks here on the board. We have some very sloppily repaired traces over here. The other primary thing is I got to wash this thing. Let me show you why. It's full of an iron dust. That's like aluminum dust that you get from like a wire brush wheel pushing on aluminum. So I got to wash the inside of this thing out to make sure it's not conductive in any way. We got to clean and oil your switches on the front, because when I get done washing it, there won't be any lubrication left in these whatsoever. So I'm going to bend this out, replace the power wires real quick. And then this thing has obviously been burned up. Here's another question that we have, is this resistor here is not stock by any means. And it's actually way bigger than it needs to be. So we don't know that it being this high of a wattage, it can actually mask the problem of that transistor being bad. So that and these aren't metal mylar. These are the right value here and of course here. They are the right value, just the wrong kilovolt rating. So I'm going to strip the power wire out of this thing. We're going to do a couple little upgrades to it. We're going to clean up real good, and then we'll go ahead and we'll fire down on it and see what we get going on, if we got any dead pills or not. Let's see. I don't see any of the rocks in this thing. Yeah, okay, so this thing has been converted. I got these funky little tantalum capacitors here. There should be a shorting bar that, sorry, I'll get it back in frame. The funky little tantalums here and here, we're going to remove those. And this thing is actually set up for class C, so there's no reason in repairing the sideband delay. So that's interesting. Somebody tried to comp this box. That's cute. Instead of simply taking the bar from here and moving it over to ground to make it class C, they completely removed all the guts of it. There should be a resistor that goes from here to here, and then another resistor that goes from here to here to ground, which emulates load. So that resistor on this board is present, and it is present over here, but the shorting bars have been removed completely, and so is the resistor for the bias, and that's what's burned up over here. So yeah, when you get it cleaned up, we'll get on to the next step. I want to clarify this real quick before I take this out of here. So this little tuning circuit that they've got, where they've got these little capacitance trimmers on the output side of the splitter, is absolutely the wrong way to do this. I have come to the realization that I got a lot of people that watch my videos so they can learn how to do things themselves. So they don't have to go through the hassle of sending me stuff. That's great. I pointed this out in the previous little video. This is wrong. This will cause you to have an imbalance in your input circuit, which can cause this stage or this stage to run out of balance with each other. You don't want to put independent capacitance tuning on each one of the splitter outputs. That's very dangerous, okay? Especially with a box like this is designed to have 100 ohm inputs to it, otherwise bare unbalanced ohms, or bare unbalanced wire as a conductors. If you were going to do anything, you'd have to add the exact amount of capacitance here at the input to the transformer on the primary side of the circuit, or here. You would not want to put it here at the splitter. This is very dangerous. So this is going to get removed, and I just wanted to point out to everybody this is absolutely not what you want to do. This will cause more problems than you could ever possibly deal with. You'll end up regretting it. This upgrade, though, on the other hand, I'm all about. Because this little bullshit combiner that they would have over here, they'd have the same circuit over here with the same gauge of wire, is woefully inadequate. The only problem I have with this is that this isn't Teflon wire. This is like solid core wire that you would use for like phone lead, not temperature resistant. These combiners can have a tendency to get a little bit warm, okay? So I'm going to have to rebuild this circuit also. But I really wanted to address this. Now, this thing has obviously been repilled a couple times, and we can tell that by the trace work that's here. You can look down here and you can see that this trace is missing. Now, the solder work that goes to this is great. This is beautiful. Good stuff. It's nice and smooth and slick. You got good contact going on the top side and the top and bottom side of the transistor leg, but you can tell this has been rebuilt. The traces here have been peeled up a couple times and are now missing underneath this tab leg, and the same thing over here. So this is a repill, but it's got non-red dots in it, and this is just roughly from looking at it for a couple minutes. Now that I'm going to spend the rest of my afternoon, I'm going to be very intimate with this thing, and we're going to spend a lot of private time together. And if I come up with anything more that I think I should bring up, I will let you guys know. But to all the DIYer guys that are trying to follow along with me, this is the absolute wrong way to tune this. If you're going to add capacitance, you put it, move this bullshit part, you put it here at your summed input. Okay, so this is where the signal comes in. If you're going to add capacitance to the input circuit, you do it here. That way both sides of the circuit, both stages, this push-pull linear and this push-pull linear, have received the same amount of tuning, because the capacitance can affect the RF's ability to be able to flow in and flux into the input circuits on both of these boxes. And if these two are set too far apart, you'll have one push-pull amplifier that is operating at a higher input level than its compared one, and therefore you'll have an imbalance on your output, because the amount of signal that is being rectified by both boards or these two stages is going to be different. All right, school's out. Let me get to work. Bye. Well, Rob, we're back, man. We back from the break, and I left this thing sitting right on my workbench, right where I left it. Actually, I had it all completed before I left. I just didn't want to go through the fight of doing the shipping and everything within the last 3 hours of me getting ready to leave for the break. I worked right up until I left. Guys, I went to the Channel 28 Good Time Gang break, and they were kind enough to give me an award. And we've been working real hard with the group to try and supersize things before I even went. And then I get there, and there were some things that happened where some people needed a little bit of help doing some stuff, and I was able to just make it happen for them. And helped a guy get there from the airport. Did a bunch of other fun stuff for people while I was there. Had a great time, by the way, contrary to what two people are trying to spread as rumors around the internet. There were some weird things that happened on the last day that were wildly inappropriate, but it's okay. The guy that put on the break, Chad, has dealt with it appropriately, and we're going to move on. But man, I had a good time. I got to meet a lot of neat people, got to shake a lot of neat hands. I was really, really grateful for getting able to go, and had a good time. Really had a good time. So, on that note, let's get back to talking about this little guy right here. So let me get that moved out of the way because I'm pretty proud of that. I'm going to hang that up on the wall here somewhere. It'll go over there maybe and hang with some more of my trophies or something. But yeah, we're back. Now, Rob, when I left this on the last previous video to this little snippet of video, we had a tuner over here and we had two little capacitance tuners over here. They were having a problem. Whoever worked on this before, they were having a problem. They couldn't get the input to lay down. They couldn't figure out why. Well, I rebuilt the output combiner and changed the resistors around. Got rid of this shit. Got rid of it completely. But started really looking heavy at the circuit. And the first thing I noticed was the coax that was going from the input side, which is here, went down to ground and went over here. It was pretty jaggy. It was melted and about ready to short out. I don't know if this will show or not. It was pretty scooched. And so I thought, well, it'd be better off in life if I just got rid of this foam center dielectric coax and put Teflon in its place. So I went ahead and I put mini coax in this thing. And I went on and I replaced the input and output coaxes because they were pretty bad shape. They'd been hit by a soldering iron several times all the way around them. And they're on their last leg. So I figured we would forego the problem. Now this thing didn't clean up as well as I was hoping it would, but it cleaned up well enough that we could get her running really well. I went in and I replaced all the power wires. I replaced the power wires coming out of the box. Now I'm waiting to hear from Rob to see if he wants, I remember vaguely, because a lot's happened in the last week, him saying something to me before I left that he wanted to have an Anderson clip put on this. So I got to get with him and find out exactly what he wants. He's at work right now. It's the middle of the day for me. So I'm going to get that taken care of later tonight. But moving forward, he doesn't care anything about sideband. So this button right here, all it does is change the power setting. The delay has been bypassed now. This thing came to me, it didn't have any of the bias circuit in it. It had all been bypassed, and the way they had bypassed it to C was inappropriate. So I went ahead and I added the appropriate chokes. And I attacked the thing from the primary side going to the secondary side. So I went and I looked at the capacitors on the primary side of each one of the transformers, and they were low. Somebody had gone in there and changed them and put the wrong values in there. Remember, guys, not everything tunes at 1,330. The number of turns, the size of the transformer, the material makeup, and how you go about doing the combining circuit post amplification dictates a lot on how things are tuned here and here. So these were low. And then the next thing I did is there were 1,000 puff caps that looked just like this on the output transformers that were dead. Just flat out dead. One's got a gain of, or not a gain, one's got a value of about 2 puff. And I think this one here, which is supposed to be 1,000, has got a gain of about 550. That's what they were trying to overcome with the input tune here. You can add as much capacitance and induction you want here on the input circuit, but if these two capacitance values, which allow the transformer to flux at the appropriate level, are not correct, you're going to have a screwed up input and a screwed up output every single time. Period. So we got that fixed, and it hopped right up. Now it puts out a ton of watts. This plus the power wire combination will allow us to get about 800 peak out of it and about 300 bird, with the 955 hitting it, which we'll get into here in a minute. Now you guys can see this power wire, this wire that's been added, and of course this plug that's been added. That's for the fan kit. Because remember, he set up this tricky little fan kit. Now I've never seen this actual fan kit. This is the one that is designed to go on that box. I did find a new lid because, well, let's face it, plexiglass or any kind of plastic, unless it's got lead in it or gold or silver that's embedded in the plastic up to a certain amount of microns thick, is a horrible RF shield. Horrible. So I went ahead and found him a used lid that I had sitting here that we're going to throw on here to make it safe. So quick wrap up. Power wire, appropriate class C biasing on the thing. Changed out our coax, changed out our power wire, got our caps correct. That made our input tune come down appropriate, changed the input tune to where it is stable, and guess what? It works. So I'm going to put the tin on this thing, and then I'm going to put the bottom fan on this thing so you guys can actually see a Texas Star 667 500V 400 or the dx500 fan kit actually work. Because I've never seen one. There's stuff I've never seen before all the time, but I've never seen one. We've actually got it wired up now for the plug on the back. So yeah, we're going to hook it up, and we're going to go through the little song and dance of testing it. This here, there's so much wrong here I can't even... They put the heat shrink on, but then realized it wouldn't fit over the butt clamps that they put on here. We're going to clean this mess up. I'm going to get the tin on it, and we'll get on with testing. Be back in a minute. I like it. I like it a lot. The owner of this amp was really questioning if this fan was going to be adequate enough. Yeah, is the answer. Yep, they set it up off the heat sink. This, perfect. It mounted up perfect. The screw that you had in here, Rob, was a little bit too small for the hole inside of the amp, so I went ahead and I dug around. I got you another screw that fit. So it's on there now, and it's on there good. The other thing is they put a little lip on it, so it sits flush up against the heatsink fins. There's no gap, so there's no air leak. But this has got the old school fans on it. I did a review of the fan kit about 4 or 5 videos ago of the new one versus the old one. I dug my Sweet 16 out and showed you the difference between the new and the old. Actually was able to purchase an old school fan kit on a Sweet 16 at Manchester this year, which fans are twice as high but have only 3 blades on them, and they move roughly the same amount of air as these. These are a little bit thinner, lower profile, and move more air. But this thing really gets with it. I mean, it really moves some air. Well, hold on one second. Just one second. Turn your air conditioning off so we could actually hear around it. Check this out. This moves a lot of air. And Rob, I honestly feel that this is going to be very adequate for this box. This works out well. It's moving a ton of air. So, let's go up here first. Preamp is working, although it's catching a lot of noise at the moment. So, let's see here. Got a mic in all the way up. Yep, alright. Let's run around the lap real quick. That's going to be a 1000 watt slug in PEP 1000 watt average, 5 watt slug back in reverse from the Bird 10,000 watt dummy load. We use a Striker 955 and a 5 watt slug between the 955 and of course the Texas Star dx500. So let me show you input power, what we're going to use for drive. Hello audio. Hello audio. Hello. 2530 Bird and about 100 PEP. Hello, 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 hello. So we're going to be able to hear through it just fine. Low SWR going through the box. So now, if you guys don't know, I had a customer point this out to me about a week ago. He didn't know that there's a low and a medium and a high. So with the AM button in, the sideband button in, there's attenuation resistors that sit in there on both of these resistors, and they knock the gain down. So you've got low, this is low, medium, and high. So it's again low, medium, high. So we're going to test on high, and then we're going to go down to medium, and then we're going to go down to low. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. See about 280 Bird. Hello. About 300. Hello. And a nice solid 800. Hello. Now this is a little 4-pill. And I'm a big fan of these. That means there's more heat sink to help dissipate the heat compared to a 5-pill. Okay? And there's less stuff to muck up. Let's go look at our input tune. Hello, 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 hello. Less than a watt. Hello, output power. Okay. So now we're going to go to medium. We're going to hit that AM button. So now we're seeing 200 bird, 700p. Input, audio. Okay. It's because the input is now sitting behind an attenuation pad. So we're going to see the input drop off to nothing. So now we're going to go to low. Same on the drive. Audio, 500 watts. 180 bird. Audio. Input tune. Audio. And then, of course, back to high. Audio. Audio. Big Rob, you're all set up, buddy. Fan kit's installed. Now you got to be careful because this little plug in the back is pretty scoochum delicate. Remember, your fuses have been bypassed, so make sure if you're going to use a fuse, make it with the shortest distances possible from your battery underneath the hood. And you want to use almost double the size of amperage than what your amplifier actually pulls. That way you don't have a ton of amperage loss. Just saying. That's it, guys. Texas Star dx500 with an actual Texas Star fan kit for said unit, which I didn't even know existed. Guess I need to go look at the books more. That's it. Gentlemen, my name is BBI. Without a shadow of a doubt, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. Come check us out, www.bbiamps.com. Come find me on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and of course right here on the YouTube Gargler. Click the subscribe button for me, guys, right down there at the bottom if you like what you've seen. And that'll allow you to know when I put out another video, or just allows you to follow along, get a little bit more detail. Mr. Big Rob, you're all set. Like I said, I'm going to wait and I'll talk to you on the phone tonight about getting a little Anderson clip put on this thing. So be off to the races and running. All right, on that note, I'll see ya.